What's going on, guys? Philly here with Custom Offsets TV on the YouTube, and today we're going to be talking about arguably the most tossed around word at the 2019 SEMA show. And no, we're not talking about the MK5 Supra. We're going to save that one for Fitment Industries. So today, we're talking long travel suspension systems, off-road bumpers, and of course, rooftop tents to find out what's the hype with overlanding. Play intro sequence. Here at Custom Offsets, we live and breathe custom trucks, but typically you're going to see us building these mall crawlers with massive wheels and skinny tires, and that's what tons of people know us and our website for. But what you might not know is that some of us still do enjoy a nice trip off the pavement. And with some of the new suspension companies that we've just added to the website, we're stoked to be able to help you guys not only on your show truck builds, but also on these off-road builds. So, jumping into it, what exactly is overlanding? Well, by definition, overlanding is a self-guided adventure to remote destinations where the journey itself is the primary goal. You can think of it like a road trip, but minus the road. While overlanding is still a relatively new buzzword, the idea of overlanding has been around for generations. The term itself seems to have originated in Australia and was often used to describe driving cattle long distances across the outback. While the overlanders of today may not be pushing cattle, there's no shortage of adventure. Around the 1950s, companies like Mercedes-Benz began producing off-road capable four-wheel drive SUV-type vehicles, enabling the average consumer to begin taking their adventures off of the pavement and into the backcountry. As the four-wheel drives gained popularity, companies like Jeep, Toyota, Land Rover, and Nissan also got on board by bringing to market these off-road capable vehicles. By the late 90s, you could easily buy an overland-worthy vehicle from just about any manufacturer on the market, but it wasn't until more recently that overlanding became the cool, hip, and new thing to do. While technically both involve driving off-road, it's important to note that overlanding and off-roading can be two very different things. While the off-road crews tend to spend their days climbing rocks, scaling near vertical vertical walls, or sending it through the mud, overlanding is more so about the journey. There's also different types of overlanders. Many primarily spend their time on the forestry trails or gravel roads, sightseeing and traveling from campsite to campsite while being completely self-sufficient, sometimes for weeks and even months at a time. All of the gear and supplies required for that excursion are going to be kept on board the vehicle, and what you carry in, you carry out. Some people get a bit more serious and try to reach the most remote areas for some of the best camping you can experience, and that involves a lot more than just driving down a gravel road, but we all start somewhere. While overlanding has been a relatively well-known topic, it wasn't until the mid to late 2010s that it really began to take off. People began building Tacomas, 4Runners, Titans, Jeeps, and even the occasional Ford Ranger for these backcountry adventures. Oftentimes, these builds would be outfitted with rooftop tents, cargo storage for all the tools you want, and a function-over-form wheel and tire setup. Common wheels like the Method NV are typically paired with larger sidewall tires to allow the driver to cover some of the harsher terrain without causing damage to the wheel itself. By far the most popular choices I see are the Falcon Wildpeak AT3Ws and Wrangler Duratracs when it comes to tires. And then as far as suspension goes, for the serious guys, you'll never find a standard spacer lift. It is surprising though how capable a vehicle can be with some of the lift kits offered right on the site. Fox coilovers, Duralogic coilovers, even Bilstein lift struts allow you to have a smoother ride and stuff some larger wheels and tires underneath the truck. Now, if you want to add in a little bit of speed, you're going to want to step up to long travel suspension. As the decade progressed, overlanding continued to increase in popularity as people began building these rigs. They also realized that, hey, these things look pretty neat, and we should probably show them off so other people can see how neat they are also. And that's, rightfully so. Beginning in 2016, overlanding began to show up at SEMA, and it made waves. Very rapidly, the overlanding craze swept the show truck scene, and by 2019, it even had its own exhibit at SEMA. Manufacturers all over the world were producing tents, cargo racks, bike carriers, and even whole travel trailers designed for the more rugged terrain that overlanding has to offer. Wheel brands that historically only offered show wheels began to offer more close-spoke design wheels that mimic the true off-road style wheels, and the thin sidewall tires were being replaced with a thicker sidewall, often in a mud terrain or hybrid tire configuration. New innovations in wheel design led to companies like Method introducing a new bead grip technology, which basically allows you to run similar tire pressures to a true beadlock while still being street legal. Overlanding is more than just driving around off the pavement. It's all about the journey, the places you go, the people you'll meet, and the obstacles that you'll conquer. There's just something about getting to a remote campsite that no one or very few people have ever been to. Some of the best conversations I've had in my entire life have been around a fire, eating some marginally acceptable freeze-dried meals next to a glass calm lake under the stars. Even if you don't live in the Pacific Northwest, there's bound to be some awesome stuff to explore in your state. I mean, just a couple of hours away from us in Michigan, there's an abandoned rocket launch site that was used by NASA. There's miles and miles of Forest Service roads, amazing views of Lake Superior, and a campsite where you can park your rig inches from the lake, and even a cabin built just for people who can find it. It literally says on the door that if you're able to get to it, you're able to use it. So what do you think about overlanding? Tell us down in the comments below, and if you're trying to be like this Tacoma behind us, check us out at customoffsets.com. Peace.